Hello, welcome to the program. As global ecosystems face increasing threats from deforestation, climate change, and urban expansion, tree planting is emerging as one of the most effective and accessible strategies to combat biodiversity loss. In both rural and urban settings, reforestation and afforestation initiatives do not only restore degraded landscapes, but also provide critical habitats for countless species of flora and fauna. Biodiversity, the variety of life in all its forms, is essential for ecosystem resilience and the survival of human populations. Trees play a foundational role in maintaining balance as forests host more than 80% of the terrestrial species of animals, plants, and fungi. When trees are cut down, entire food chains and ecological networks are disrupted. Tree planting helps reverse these trends by creating conditions necessary for wildlife to return, breathe, and thrive. Yet, Cameroon, despite its rich ecological zones, has seen various challenges in promoting tree planting activities, while illegal logging, deforestation, and agricultural expansion are fast advancing, exacerbating the harmful effects of climate change. Our program today discusses the advantages of fighting biodiversity loss through afforestation and reforestation. This week, we are examining tree planting and biodiversity loss. In response to deforestation and land degradation, the Cameroon government has launched several tree planting initiatives aimed at restoring degraded ecosystems and mitigating the effects of climate change. These efforts are part of the country's broader environmental commitments under international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and the African Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative, also known as AFR 100. In that line, tree planting is encouraged within agricultural and infrastructure projects through policies such as the National Strategy for Sustainable Development and sensitization activities to promote tree planting. However, all these programs face multifaceted challenges, including climate variability and poor community engagement, as irregular rainfall and long dry seasons coupled with limited awareness affect planting schedules and tree growth. Aponse Ate visited the Bimbo waterfall in the Bamunkumbit community in the Ngoketonja division and now describes the various changes undergone by this waterfall due to environmental challenges.
This is the Bimbo waterfall, cascading through the lush forest of Bamunkumbit, through Baligashu, Bafanji, and Bambalang, before finally joining the Bamenjim Dam. For decades, its waters have been the heartbeat of the Ngoketonja Plateau, sustaining over 75,000 people. The river has provided homes with water, nourished fertile banks for crops, offered pastures for animals, and even created income through fishing and sand mining. Nkayi Boniface, a community member.
From when I was growing up, I saw this waterfall. From the volume and from the length, always go there during holiday period to visit the site because it's a touristic site. The atmosphere of that place is very important. When we were still young in the village, our parents never liked us to go nearer that fall because in the past we used to have so many types of wild animals there in such a way that when you are going there, you always bypass animals on the road.
But in recent decades, the story of the Bimbo waterfall has changed. Deforestation, bushfires, and the pressure of climate change have left the watershed in decline. Streams that once flowed year-round now dry up during the long dry season. Families walk long distances just to fetch water. Farmers report poor harvest. Pastoralists lose livestock to thirst, the General President of the Bamunkumbit Development Association, Akisa Peter.
The current state of the Bimbo waterfall compared to what it was in the 80s and 90s when I grew up as a child in the neighborhood. This Bimbo waterfall served as a watershed that provided livelihood to large communities. As we talk today in the year 2025, the water flow in the Bimbo waterfalls has dropped by over 75%. The biodiversity had completely been destroyed by bushfires and uncontrolled grazing. So many of the animal species which were considered rare, which were found in this forest, can no more be seen today.
The Bimbo waterfall is more than scenery. It is culture, livelihood, and survival. Community members say that restoring it is not just about the environment, but about safeguarding their future and the beautiful touristic site for future generations. Many believe that with dedication, the decline of Bimbo can be reversed and the waterfall can once again flow as it once did, steaming with life and promise.
Ponce Ate reporting. As water bodies dry up, including rivers, springs and local waterfalls, the population is left with limited access to water and facing other environmental difficulties. In the following report, Hortensia Ngam highlights how the population, particularly farmers, are trying to navigate these variations.
A farmer along the Bimbo waterfall in Bamunkumbit, a locality in Goketunjia division of the Northwest region, expressing his frustrations over the waterfall's declining flow. Once a reliable source of water for local farms, the waterfall is now drying up, leaving many farmers struggling to irrigate their crops. The situation is not only the result of human activity, but also a consequence of natural factors, particularly climate change. The prolonged dry season has further reduced the waterfall's water levels, forcing farmers to seek alternative irrigation methods, including the use of watering cans.
We have watering cans filled with water to water our crops. The waterfall is drying up, but we must survive, so we have been using watering cans.
The dry season has also impacted the wider population around Bimbo, prompting farmers to shift to crops that require less water to survive.
When rain no dey, so we must only plant our beans before we survive.
When there is no rain, we are forced to plant beans in order to survive. Beans is better because it doesn't require a lot of water to grow. It doesn't require plenty of rain. However, we would be also grateful if someone supplies us potable water here. We have been trying to survive here, but it's not easy. It is not raining, and everything is drying up. I don't know what to do.
So the whole year we must lose and lost. I don't know what to do.
Yet challenges persist. Birds feeding on crops add another layer of difficulty, prompting locals to develop coping mechanisms to protect their harvests.
The birds are disturbing us. The birds are eating up the beans once they sprout. We are forced to put sticks to scare the birds away.
The drying of Bimbo waterfall highlights the growing pressures of climate change on rural communities, agriculture and local livelihoods in the Northwest region.
Hortensia Ngam. In some areas around the country, non-governmental organizations and local communities are helping to restore forests covering threatened landscapes such as the Sahelian zones and degraded rainforest regions. This is the case with the Bimbo Restoration Water Project in Bamunkumbit Community, a small locality in Gonketunja Division, where an association known as Support Humanity Cameroon is working to rekindle hope in 5 communities through tree planting and other restoration activities. Rita Mbingmboh discussed the advantages of the initiative with some inhabitants of the community and put together the following report.
The Bimbo waterfall in Bamunkumbit is receiving renewed attention through restoration efforts led by Support Humanity Cameroon. Dr. Ngwa Clovis Neba, the organization's program officer, explains that they have planted indigenous trees around the waterfall and they also cleared surrounding areas to reduce soil erosion. He adds that protective zones have been established to help the ecosystem recover more effectively.
Support Humanity Cameroon has been working hand in hand with local communities in Bamunkumbit to restore the watershed that sustains the Bimbo River and waterfall since it initiated the Bamunkumbit Integrated Community Forest project in 2019. So far, we have planted over 35,000 indigenous and water-friendly trees, including Myosopsis, Acacia, Vocanga africana, and Raffia. These trees are carefully chosen because they protect river banks, help the soil retain water, and provide shade and habitat for different species. Alongside the planting, our teams and volunteers have carried out surveys of degraded areas to identify the most critical spots that need urgent attention.
Local communities are actively involved in these efforts and they also play a key role in maintaining the young saplings and participating in awareness campaigns about conservation, he notes.
From the very beginning, our approach has been to make this a community-owned initiative. More than 300 local volunteers, including members of the Mboro community, young women and young people have actively joined us in the restoration efforts. Smallholder farmers and pastoralists who depend directly on the river and land are central to this process because they not only plant the trees but also help to monitor and protect them afterwards. We are also providing livelihood support through activities like beekeeping, sustainable agriculture, and capacity building on sustainable natural resources management, with over 600 beneficiaries so far.
Dr. Ngwa adds that these tree planting and restoration activities are expected to improve water quality, increase vegetation cover, and provide richer habitats for wildlife over the coming years.
In the coming years, we expect to see a major improvement in both the ecological health and the livelihoods that depend on the Bimbo River. Planting thousands of water-friendly trees will stabilize the soil, reduce erosion, and recharge groundwater, which means a stronger and more reliable flow of water into the river and waterfall. This will support fishermen, sand miners, farmers, and pastoralists who rely on the ecosystem for their daily survival.
He emphasizes that the ultimate goal is to create a sustainable environment that benefits both nature and the people who rely on the waterfall.
Alongside the planting, our team and volunteers have carried out surveys of degraded areas to identify the most critical spots that need urgent attention. Restoration for us is not just about putting trees in the ground. It is about ensuring they take roots, grow, and bring the entire watershed back to life.
Through these combined efforts, Support Humanity Cameroon is helping to safeguard the biodiversity and long-term sustainability of the Bimbo waterfall area.
Rita Mbingmboh reporting. While the Cameroon government continues to promote reforestation as a tool for environmental protection, Colette Jani says greater coordination, long-term maintenance and community involvement are needed to overcome these challenges and ensure lasting impact.
Biodiversity, the rich variety of life on Earth, is under threat.
From deforestation and climate change to pollution and habitat destruction, species across the globe are disappearing at alarming rates. But experts agree that one powerful solution lies in something deceptively simple: planting trees. Afforestation, the process of creating new forests on lands that were not previously forested. It plays a crucial role in restoring habitats for countless species. Forests provide shelter, food, and breeding grounds for animals, insects, fungi, and plants. By increasing the green cover, afforestation helps rebuild ecosystems, stabilizes soil, and restores the natural balance. Beyond supporting wildlife, afforestation also improves air and water quality, captures carbon dioxide, and combats climate change, all of which further protects biodiversity in the long run. However, it's not just about planting any trees anywhere. Experts stress the importance of planting native species in the right locations. Poorly planned afforestation can sometimes do more harm than good by disrupting local ecosystems or draining water resources. In short, when done correctly, afforestation is more than just a climate solution. It's a lifeline for biodiversity, and in an era where more than 1 million species are at risk of extinction, that lifeline is more important than ever.
Take care of the oceans, take care of the seas, take care of the forests. Take care of the trees. I want you to know.
Our guest on the program today is the Executive Coordinator of Support Humanity Cameroon, Sunday Geoffrey Bafombe. Good morning and welcome to Greening the Triangle.
Good morning, Sam Lingom, and thank you for inviting me.
You are coordinating a program focusing on restoration in a particular village in the northwest region, the Bamunkumbit village. What is your take on tree planting and biodiversity loss?
Since 2019, we have been leading a forest restoration project in the Bamunkumbit community, and part of this, we have planted over 35,000 trees. And I want to say that trees significantly contribute to biodiversity restoration. If I want to take the case of Bamunkumbit Integrated Community Forest, for example, the trees we are planting is actually enhancing biodiversity conservation by restoring wildlife habitats, by providing food to enhancing agroecological practices to smallholder farmers.
What pushed you to start these restoration activities?
So I actually grew up in the rural community, and growing up, I used to accompany my parents to the farm. At one point, we realized that our agricultural lands were degrading, and I didn't know this was related to climate change in any way. But later in life, I realized how climate change was not only impacting agricultural productivity, but how it was impacting the entire livelihoods of my community. And so upon my graduation from the International Relations Institute, I decided to create Support Humanity Cameroon so that I can give back to the community, raise awareness on climate change, and lead concrete climate action. So the Bimbo waterfall is one of those water sources that supplies water to over 75,000 persons across 5 communities.
What are some of the other activities that are being carried out on the field by Support Humanity Cameroon to make sure that farmers have better access to water?
We've actually planted over 35,000 trees, but I also want to say that we have restored over 75 hectares of land, because what we're actually doing is not just tree planting, we're also doing supported natural regeneration, promoting sustainable agricultural practices that actually contribute to agro-pastoral land restoration. We provide trainings in organic agriculture, in agroecological practices, and also in agroforestry practices. Beyond the restoration project, we have also been engaged in youth and women capacity building, especially in areas of sustainable agriculture that I've mentioned earlier, because this is a core component in a livelihood support approach to the communities that can actually help them to protect natural resources.
Since you started these restoration activities, how do you see the impact on the life of population, the farmers living around?
We are seeing a complete shift in mindset of smallholder farmers, of pastoralist communities. Because when we started this initiative, it was not easily accepted. But in the course of time, through education and through the provision of livelihood support, they are beginning to understand how important this is to the communities. So they are now adopting sustainable agriculture approaches that we are bringing. They are now joining in the tree planting programs. We've had over 300 community volunteers support the tree planting programs. And today we've had 6 restoration groups, grassroots restoration groups that are actually supporting the restoration programs, but that are also engaged in sustainable practices within these communities. So it's not just about the environmental benefits. We are seeing a lot of economic, we are seeing a lot of social benefits. Young people are engaging in bee farming.
Coming back to the Bimbo waterfall project, what are the specific activities that you carry out around the waterfall?
The Bimbo watersheds. We are doing restoration around the watersheds, but the watersheds actually provides water to the waterfall. Okay. And the waterfall is like a touristic site and a cultural site for these communities. Over the years, the water source has been running dry, and we've understood partly that the communities have been planting eucalyptus trees. They're interested in tree planting, but they don't understand which tree species can actually do well within these communities. We have been raising awareness. We have been educating the communities on which tree species to plant, and we have also been providing livelihood support to smallholder farmers so that they can engage in sustainable practices like beekeeping. When they're able to have alternative income sources, they will actually reduce the pressure that they are putting around this watershed. We understand that the watersheds, riparian areas, are very rich in biodiversity. They are home to some endemic birds and animal species. And when we continue to plant eucalyptus trees and these water sources are running dry, it affects the life of the entire community.
So 6 years since you started the restoration initiative, what are some of the positive effects that you have observed on the field?
We are having significant transformation in several areas. First, I want to talk about the forest area where we are leading the restoration initiative. Last year, we conducted a scientific study using the geographical information system tools to understand the transformation that is happening on the ground. I realized that over 75 hectares of land has already been restored through supported natural regeneration, through tree planting programs, and through controlled fire. Because, bushfire is one of the drivers of degradation. In 2024, we produced over 100 liters of pure honey in this community. And this was the first time we were engaging the communities. We feel that as we are scaling the project, we are already witnessing transformation in the lives of the local population. And we are hoping that this will benefit more young people and provide jobs for many more people within these communities.
It means that even farmers can now plant around the watershed areas, and their farms are doing well because the trees are back and maybe rain patterns are positively changing.
Well, we are doing controlled planting around the watersheds. Controlled planting because there are regulations, and that these regulations must also be respected by the local communities. We feel that they have better alternatives. When we are providing trainings and support in agroforestry practices, we are actually trying to limit the encroachment to watersheds areas, because they have to understand that without the water, the livelihoods of the community is threatened. So it is a collective type of thing that we are doing to protect. So we're not encouraging agricultural activities around the watersheds. But then one challenge that we have been having, actually, as you mentioned, is that of changes in rainfall patterns. It's not really helping yet. But I believe that in the long run, we'll be able to contribute to global temperature regulations.
You grew up in a Bamunkumbit village or community, and you observed this situation of biodiversity loss, maybe due to climate change. You have decided to create an association working to promote restoration. Do you intend to limit yourself to your village and tell yourself, okay, if the people of my community are living well, then I am satisfied?
For sure, no. I want to say that our interventions are not only in Bamunkumbit. Our restoration activities actually do support especially the Mboro communities from Awing and also from Balikumbat, who lives around forest areas. So we are not only limiting activities to Bamunkumbit, but we also do have activities in communities in the central region. But then I want to say that we are now elaborating the Ngokotunje Plateau Restoration Initiative, because we needed to test this in one community, see how it works, and then we move to other communities. So the Ngokotunje Restoration Initiative will go over 13 communities and over 100,000+ hectares of degraded land. So this is really an ambitious initiative, and we are saying that the impact we are seeing in Bamunkumbit actually is something that needs to go across communities. Today we have supported over 600 farmers in Bamunkumbit, and I want to see a situation where we actually contribute not only to environmental protection but also to creating creating jobs across Ngokotunje division, across the northwest region. These are vulnerable communities that are at the front line of climate change. Because of the socio-political crisis, climate actions has been limited in these regions since 2017. We feel that this is a perfect opportunity to engage young people in restoration and to create restoration economies that can actually create employment and increase household income, and by then strengthen resilience to the impact of climate change.
Sunday Geoffrey Bafombe, thank you very much for your availability.
Thank you so much, Sam Lingo.
Dear listeners, we have come to the end of the program. We had contributions from Karin Kubon, Aponse Ate, Otensangam, Rita Mbingmboh, and Colette Jani. The program was produced by Karin Kubon and Aponse Ate under the supervision of George Kelong. I am Sam Lingo, thanking you for listening.